Concrete and Culture. Essays by Robbie Porter. Introduction. Dear kids, during the winter of 2007-2008, the year we homeschooled you, it occurred to me that it is a parent's duty to pass along to his children everything he knows that's worth knowing. By the time I had this realization, we were already following lesson plans for history, math, and English. I wasn't quite sure how to implement it anyway, but the idea stuck and became, at least in my mind, an obligation. There are things I want to tell you, but you roll your eyes at my regular menu of lectures. It may not be your fault, but it's still your problem, and so on. I have a kind of gallows humor because I know, before I open my mouth, that I can't convey in that moment and with those overused words what I want you to understand. So I speak with a grimace, the kind of expression you might see on the face of a dog when it tries to beg a treat it knows you will not give. Underneath these attempts is an experience of mine. I've always been a builder and a problem solver, a contemplator trying to understand how things work. I'm proud of the things I've built, things that are beautiful or functional. Thinking and problem solving supports these creations as much as wooden beams and nails. In college, when my girlfriend Eliza hunted down a copy of The Way Things Work in a used bookstore and gave it to me as a present, I saw it as a practical addition to my library and immediately looked inside to learn how hydraulic pumps worked. The summer before, my neighbor Roy Haggett, more about him later, had meshed his fingers together as a demonstration of the functioning of a hydraulic pump. I professed to understand, but I didn't and wanted to find out. What I also didn't understand was that The Way Things Work was a comment on my character. I'm a Yankee mechanic, convinced there is a solution if I can just figure it out and build it. There's a certain cold optimism to this outlook on life. Things can work out, but you better have done your sums correctly and not made any sloppy mistakes. Had I been raised as William Faulkner was, in the Mississippi Hill Country, a place where the fertile, bountiful landscape is the result of ancient winds and a powerful river draining half a continent, I might have focused, less mechanistically on how things work, and more, like Faulkner, on the subtle, immeasurable, and sometimes irreconcilable actions of my fellow human beings. In the stony, mountainous New England landscape of my life, every knoll and valley prevents a unique opportunity to contrive a living, and every winter tries to bury that struggle under a glacier. This terrain, by turns inviting and unforgiving, encourages a person to look for a device, a particular construction that will make living a little easier. The puzzles I've struggled with are common and fairly general: relationships, money, purpose, all of the questions you are growing into. I've dealt with them as a Yankee mechanic, contemplating how I thought the pieces fit together and functioned. We identify people by their work, but a person is more than the part of them that is their work, although it took me years to realize this. Here are many parts, disparate parts, from the whole experience of life, the same way a whole person is the work part and many other disparate parts. Maybe, like me, you will choose to live close to your parents and gradually pass from admiration to disdain and back to, what is it really, resignation with appreciation? Do we have a word in English? Or is there some compound German word that manages to capture the combination of love and sadness, frustration and fulfillment that is a child and parent? Even living close by, my parents are mostly a mystery. From long experience of working with him, I know how my father will act in lots of situations, and, to a lesser extent, I can make an educated guess as to his reasoning. But the experiences that shape that reasoning, that box is just a tangle of misremembered stories and forgotten punchlines. Yet, someday, you will wonder, who was that man? What did he think, and why? Stories are perhaps the most enduring human creations. These are the stories behind the reasoning of what I think. After 53 trips around the sun, this is what I got. You'll notice, when you get around to reading this book, that when I introduce your mom, Beth Ann, I introduce her as my wife to keep things clear for any other readers who may happen on this book. It feels a little awkward to write those words instead of simply saying mom. Let it be a lesson on the importance of tone and intention at the beginning of a writing project. I wrote lots of these essays thinking they would be read only by you, and now I've rewritten them in an attempt to make them serviceable to a general audience as well, which feels, in places, like an imperfect compromise. In many ways, this problem symbolizes the struggle of being a parent. You put your children first, but this doesn't mean that you completely cease to exist, although it occasionally feels that way. Instead, you compromise, taking care of your kids and trying to maintain some of your own ambitions, and that's what I've done here.